entrepreneur, a strategic approach is the backbone for sustained growth of your entity. Are you wondering where to start thinking and how to start implementing your strategic growth plan? Well, I've got good news because our experts here today are going to get you set up with their tips for success strategically. Let's go say hi to them. Hi, Aileen.
Hi, Laura. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Aileen Boyle. I am a strategic business consultant and advisor. You can find me at fortro.co, and I'm based in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Well, welcome so much, Aileen. Glad to have you here. And hi, Kyna.
Hi, Laura. Hi, my name is Kyna B. I am an operations coach. You can find me on kynabaker.com, and I reside in Newark, Delaware.
Great to have you as well, Kyna. So both of you are strategic positioners of people, and we're going to talk about the advice you have on how to plan and implement your strategic business growth. So, Aileen, I thought you could start us off. And where should people start to set up their growth plan?
Sure. It's particularly relevant right now, given what's going on with the economic climate. But the first thing that they're going to want to do is get a benchmark. Making sure your team has a really clear idea of what looks good. Where are you at? What's good? What's not so good? And the next thing is to do what I call practice in decision intelligence. And that's about looking at the trends and the data and making sure that when you are putting together your big, hairy plan, that it ties in with that your plan is based on what's going on in the world. You then, of course, link that to your customers and your revenue models. What I also like to tell my clients is that you need to kind of know your pies. And that's a really interesting little acronym. And it's about the potential, the importance, the ease of implementation, and therefore the overall score of the ideas that you have, to making sure that they tie into what it is that you're trying to achieve, and that they tie into the data and the trends. And what's really important is actually to be a client whisperer. And I say that because if you don't know what's going on with your clients or your potential clients, then you could have the best product, the best service, and you're totally in love with it, but nobody wants it because it's not meeting their needs. And you have to have that alignment with the market. And then the last thing, and this is something that I find founder-owner managed companies have a particular trouble with, is to relinquish control to take control, is how I call it. And I'm sure Kyna's going to talk a little bit more about that. But this is about when you have a good team, whether it's virtual or physical, make sure that you give them the things to do so that it's not all on you, so that you don't get overwhelmed. So those are my top 5 tips, which I think, would get people started.
I think those are fabulous tips because they really start the mindset of knowing where you are, knowing where you want to go, knowing your client, and then letting your team perform. So speaking of that, Kyna, since you are the implementation queen, tell us about the advice you have for actually getting a strategic plan done once you have it set up.
Yes. So to Aileen's last point, learn to let go and delegate. The thing that I've seen over the last 13 years is the struggle with coaches, because that's primarily who I work with, to delegate certain things off of their plate. And so when you learn to delegate, you have confirmed that with the person that you're working with, that they are willing and able to do the work. You ask questions like, are you able to work on this? And do you have what you need? Do you have any questions? Do you need anything else? So you're taking the time to not only share the deliverable that you're expecting, but you're also making time to answer questions, to do everything that you need so the project is completed as you would like it to be completed. So the one thing that I would say is to learn to delegate, because if you do that, I promise you, you'll get more done faster than trying to do it by yourself.
Would you say that delegating is one of business leaders' toughest challenges that they have to deal with?
I would say if it's not one, it's two. It's up there. Because yes, no matter what industry, no matter if you're first year in business or you're in your 20th year, most people think they know how to delegate, but I say, no, your team is going to tell you. And based on what I'm seeing, there's some things that would help you to delegate better. It would help you to not feel overwhelmed or frustrated with certain people. And that's just because of how we are as people. So yeah, I would say delegating is one of those top skills that whether you're an entrepreneur or you're in the C-suite, learning to delegate is very helpful.
Yeah, I hear a lot from business owners. I would delegate, but I don't have anybody who can do it as good as I can.
Not true. and I say that with the most, I say that with compassion because I understand we all start our businesses wanting and just feeling this tightness to it. But when we learn that there are certain parts of that business that's not our expertise and it's better for someone else, then you'll understand that, yeah, you may have learned how to do that skill. You may have learned how to put that website up, but that's not the best use of your time because either way, you're using time. And it will probably be best for your clients that you use the time doing the things that you're good at versus struggling through those things that you're not.
Great advice, Kyna. Great advice, Aileen, for how to set us up to start in that direction of being able to delegate because you have to know those different things. So Aileen, back to you. Let's talk about what lights you up. Who do you work with and what do you do with them?
Sure. So I work with small business founder owners, entrepreneurs. I spend most of my time actually working with women-led companies, and that, as you say, that completely lights me up. I think we've seen a real change over the last few years, particularly during the lockdown. There's a lot of women have come out of that going, right, I'm ready for you. And what I love about working with it is I've worked with some truly magnificent founders who have got a real solution for some of the world's challenges right now, whether that's climate-based, whether that's efficiency-based, whether it's in the renewable sector, or whether it's actually just a piece of tech. And that is where I spend a lot of my time, is in the tech sector, but across the industries.
So do you have a story you can share with us?
I do. So I recently was a mentor for Strathclyde Business School based in Glasgow, and they were running a Help to Grow program. So I get involved in other programs as well. And we had one mentee there who provides IT services to other corporates. And what was brilliant about that, and what he told me, was that I was able to help him put a different lens on what had been going on. And to your point, Kyna, whether you're in year 1 or year 20, an external perspective always brings a different viewpoint. It always gives a fresh pair of eyes, and it always sees things just completely differently. And so what happened was, the things that they had done previously, which they thought were going to be helpful, were helpful. But when you put that new lens on them, what they found was that perhaps it wasn't the best way. So we managed to peel back the layers. And in the end, the director felt really comfortable having some really honest conversations. And I was asking some pretty probing questions. But as a growing business, these decisions are important, and the learning from that is valuable. And it allowed them to put in that new perspective and put their game plan together to put things right going forward.
Oh, what great support you are. That's fabulous. So Kyna, I'd like to move over and ask you, who do you work with? What are you passionate doing for these people?
So I like to call the people that I work with and myself, the helpers of the help. So I work with coaches, and I work with coaches because no matter what their expertise is, no matter what their focus is, the center of it is to see someone get from where they are to where they want to be. And so whether that's sales, whether that's weight, whether that's building a team, I just love working with coaches, and have been for about 14 years. The beautiful thing about what I do is I almost immediately see shifts because I understand the delegation process and I can immediately see what needs to be taken off the client's plate. And I think about a client that I had, she was in sales, and she, matter of fact, she called me today and she said, Kyna, I need help. And in this case, it was really about, she knew that she had too much on her plate. She was very much like a lot of us who learn how to do we learn different skills as a result of starting a business. But with that learning, you then tend to try to do everything yourself. And so her statement was, I feel like I'm doing whack-a-mole right now, because it's one thing, I get rid of one and something else pops up. And so after working with her, she was able to spend more time with her husband and her son. She started her first conference. And a lot of the habits that I had set in place 4 or 5 years ago are still in place. She's at a new level now, which is why she called me and said, I need help. Because with every level, the delegation process is going to change. The systems that you're going to need is going to change. The tools that you're going to use to run your business is going to change. And so she called me. And so, yeah, I just love working with coaches, and going to probably continue that until the day that I die, just because I love that behind the scenes operations, but more so watching coaches help other people be their best self.
And what I love about what you do, Kyna, and also Aileen, is that you both are giving people time and quality of life back, because you're helping them think strategically and act strategically so they can get the growth that they need without spinning their wheels, without taking extra time to make those mistakes. You prevent the mistakes. You give them basically a shortcut. It's not really a shortcut per se, but it's a shortcut to them because they're not going to make the mistakes they would have otherwise made. So thank you for the great work you do. And now you both have joined as premier members here at Women Speakers Association. I'm wondering, how has this experience been? What is the value that you are getting from Women Speakers Association, or are looking to get? So Aileen, do you want to share?
So you might find this quite odd, but I actually am terrified of public speaking. And when we went into the pandemic, it took me a long time to be able to go on screen and do these particular presentations, but that's how I had to grow my business. So what the Women's Speaker Association has done for me is actually helped me develop those skills hugely. It has an amazing support network, I will say, and I can put anything into the group chat and say, I've got this, what do you think? And I get the answers back, and it's brilliant because people have been there and they're willing to share. A bit like Kyna and I are sharing our experiences in our field. I feel like I've got this amazing external perspective. So I guess I'm walking the walk of what I do. What it's allowing me to do is actually put together an online speaking tour for Q1 so that I can then provide a community and support for other women business leaders. So that's the biggest thing it's brought for me. I couldn't have done that without them.
Awesome. Yes. Online speaking tours. We can totally support that, and glad you've gotten that growth for yourself from Women Speakers Association. So Kyna, how about you? What is the value you're receiving?
So the value is the connection. I'm all about relationships. And for me, Donna, who introduced me to WSA, Donna Duffy, it has broadened my network and allowed me access to people who are already doing what I want to do. And so, to Aileen's point, it's really the connection that you get, the relationships that you build, and then also the speaking skills that you develop. Because hey, if you have a business, you're going to be speaking at some point, and so it's best to be around people who have done it and can give you the resources that you need to grow.
Indeed, connections, resources, support, and opportunities to grow your visibility and strategies is all what we have here at Women Speakers Association. We are at the moment 100% virtual. So we connect women around the world to each other, like Aileen in the UK, Kyna in Delaware, I'm on the West Coast. So, and we've got Australia, Europe, all over Europe as well. So and we're growing from there. So if you want to do what Kyna and Aileen have done, go to joinwsa.com and check out what we have to offer. You can become a premier member there. If you want to just put your toe in the water, you can certainly get our speaker success plan. It's a downloadable, it's free. Go to speakersuccessplan.com and download that as our gift. And it's been such a pleasure to have you both as our experts today, giving the advice on how to grow your business strategically and implement that strategic plan. So thank you for the work you do in the world, Aileen and Kyna, and for being a part of our awesome network here at Women Speakers Association. We'll see you next time, everyone.